All right, now let's see how we can show the uploaded images. So back to our code. This upload widget component has an upload event that gets triggered every time a file is uploaded. So here we can set onUpload to a function with two arguments, result and widget. First, let's log the result on the console. So back to this page, let's upload a file. All right, now let's look at the console. All right, we have an error saying DOM exception, failed to execute post message on window. This was a temporary issue in the past. It was resolved, but it's back. I'm not sure what is going on. Hopefully in the future, when you're watching this video, you're not going to see this, but don't worry about it. It doesn't stop our application from working, okay? Now down below, you can see this object, the result object. Here we have two properties, event, which is set to success, and info, which contains information about the uploaded image. For example, we can see the size of the image. We can see when it was created. We can see the format, the height, and the width. We can see the original file name. We also have public ID, which uniquely identifies this image. So later, we're going to grab this public ID and pass it to the image component that comes with Next Cloudinary. We also have the thumbnail URL and the full URL. So back to our code. Here we need to declare a state variable for storing the public ID. Once we have that, we can pass that public ID to the image component. So let's use the state hook to declare and initialize a variable to an empty string. We call that variable public ID. Now, if you want to handle multiple images, here we need an array of strings, okay? So back to our upload function. Here first we check if result.event is not success, then we return. Otherwise, we set public ID to result.info. Now, this property at the time of this video is not properly typed, so here we don't see those properties that you saw in the console. Look, if you hover your mouse over this property, you can see the type is either a string or object or undefined. To solve this problem, we need to properly type this property. So here we can define an interface and call it Cloudinary result. And here we can add the properties we need, like public ID of type string. With this in place, we can declare a separate constant called info, and we set this to result.info and use type assertion to tell the TypeScript compiler about the type of this property, in this case, Cloudinary result. We could also do this right here. We could wrap it in parentheses. That's totally fine. Once we have this, we set public ID to info.public ID. Now the final step. To render an image, we're going to import the cloud image component from Next Cloudinary. So CLD image. Then we add a fragment here. And finally, if we have a public ID, we render a cloud image component. Now, there are a few properties we need to set here. First of all, let me remove the closing tag and use self-closing syntax. Now, here we need to set source to public ID. We should also set a width and a height. I'm going to use arbitrary numbers like, let's say, 270 and 180. So we have a rectangle. We should also set alt. We can say a coffee image, whatever. Now let's test our application. So one more time, let's upload. All right. So here's our image. Beautiful.